Sioux Empire Podcast 126, South Dakota Game Fish and Parks Outdoor Campus.
A pathless wilderness, wild, rugged, that was South Dakota. A hardy frontier, far from the paths of civilization.
Why die on Mars when you can live in South Dakota?
Where fortune beckons with a glittering smile.
I was hauling pigs on the interstate. You were in a red car having a problem with your shirt.
And life hung on the quickness of a trigger finger.
Podcast Palooza.
The Sioux Empire Podcast.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another very special episode of the Sioux Empire Podcast. This is the Sioux Empire Podcast, the quirky but harmless podcast that's all about Sioux Empire news, comedy, music, and culture. I am your host, Robert Mehling, and joining me as always is Natasha to the Estes, to the Bury. Insightful. And also joining us is Thea Miller Ryan from South Dakota Game Fish and Parks Outdoor Campus.
I'm here.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, Seth is, we assume, lost in some, catacombs in Italy or something like that, like hunting vampires or who knows what crazy endeavor he's up to today. So we do not have a Seth's bi-weekly book club this week. We're going to jump right into talking with Thea all about the outdoor campus. So,
all right.
Tell us a little bit about, first off, where is for context for people, where is the outdoor campus?
Well, it's just south and east of the Empire Mall. So, you know how the Empire Mall's on, the front of it's on 41st, the back of it's on 49th. Our park is on 49th Street, just east of there.
Nice.
In Sertoma Park.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. And you guys are right next to the butterfly house too, right?
Right, but we were there first.
Is there a rivalry there a little bit? It's like, this is our turf.
No, it's not really a rivalry. Maybe just for me, who was there first. I'm like, because people
There's
always
no rivalry. They don't compete at the same level we do.
Right, right. No, people always ask me, "Oh, are you by the butterfly house?" I'm like, "No, they're by us."
Okay.
Yep. Just me.
Now I get why you'd say that, because it's just like, you next to that new thing? It's like, yeah, the one that we've been at forever.
Forever, exactly.
So awesome. That's kind of like in the heart of Sioux Falls to have a nature area.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, Sioux Falls kind of grown around it, hasn't it?
Yeah, when we first started building on the property, we were really the south edge of town. There was 57th Street was a gravel road. There was a big hill there. Do you remember that big house that they burned down and it caused all that controversy?
Kind of.
Yeah, and they took down the hill, and now it's 57th Street. So
wow.
And of course Sioux Falls goes how far out now? 90-something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Long ways.
So, we know where it is. To the uninitiated, what is the outdoor campus?
Yeah, I love when people ask us that because we are so many different things. But our main goal is to teach outdoor skills education. So we're with Game Fish and Parks, and that's where our funding comes from. Our funding actually is from the sale of hunting and fishing licenses in South Dakota. So we don't go through the state general fund. We're not taxpayer paid.
Sure.
So we teach outdoor skills education. We teach hunting, fishing, camping, canoeing, hiking, biking, kayaking. Anything you can teach outdoors or you can do outdoors, we try to teach there and just get people in the outdoors again.
Awesome. What are some of the programs and things you do at the outdoor campus to help with that?
Well, we have classes for all ages. We call it pre-K to gray. And yeah, and I'm more gray than pre-K now. This gray hair right here for the radio of the mind here, I'm showing my gray hair is it's all called the outdoor campus back door, front door. But what were we saying? What do we teach? What are the programs?
Yep.
Sorry, got caught on my gray hair.
You're fine.
So our programs, we do things like catch it, clean it, cook it, which is where we teach people, families, adults, how to go outside, how to catch a fish. So that includes everything from being safe to having a license to how to put this equipment on your fishing rod, how to hold a fishing rod. Some people don't know that at all, and that's okay.
That's true. The more now that you're sitting here and we're talking about this, the more I'm thinking about the fact that it's like, well, I know all this, but that's because I came from a family that did it. So
Right.
it's just like, all this is like second hat to me. But I could totally imagine, like, if you grew up in Sioux Falls and didn't have a family that did that, you'd just have no
idea.
It would be, there's nothing intuitive about, like, which lures you use for what and when. And
No, there's not. And, like with fishing, people don't know whether the reel goes on the bottom or the reel goes on the top. And, so we teach them about that. And then we take them out and teach them how to cast. And then we take them to our pond. And our pond is really full of fish. We stock it, and the pond is closed by city ordinance. So nobody can just go back and fish there. It has to be for a class for us. And we do mostly catch and release, but occasionally when we do these catch it, clean it, cook it classes, we'll teach them how to clean the fish right there.
Oh, wow.
And then we take it back to the building and cook it in some of the simplest ways. And even people who are like, I'm not going to eat fish, we'll give it a try because it smells really good. And we'll have bass,
That's really
northern
awesome.
walleye. Yeah.
When do you do those classes?
Year round.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Like even in the winter, we do ice fishing classes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, you'll
Natasha's
get out
like,
there.
so cool.
No, but it scares me.
What scares
being
you?
on the ice?
Yeah.
Oh. The ice does make a big cracking sound and sometimes, and that scares me too. I'm not gonna lie.
I used to feel that way about the ice, but having now been out on it with my dad so many times, with like him like being like, there's no reason to be scared, and to prove it, he slams on the brakes on the pickup and sends it into like a couple of 360s in a
Spins.
row. Yeah, just like totally goofing around on the ice. It's like, it's fine, Rob. I was like,
I know.
okay, Dad.
I'm still a little the same way, but after so many years, you get to you get okay with it. You learn the depth of the ice, So go out and drill we send a few interns or something out. No, we send people out to drill holes in the ice, and if it's over 12 inches, you're super safe.
Yeah.
We don't fish out there until we're over 8, but most people start fishing at 3 inches of ice. So. Yeah, so we teach those fishing classes year round. We're also doing hunting ones.
Nice.
This year we've started this whole new series of hunting classes for adults, and we're kind of taking them on one by one. So instead of having a whole class where everybody sits in the classroom and you learn something and then you go out and you maybe do something, or maybe we'll go to a shooting range, it's a one-on-one deal. So like some of my staff members are taking adults and some kids out and giving them the whole experience. So
That's really cool.
Yeah, we provide all the guns and everything. And we have this new license in South Dakota called the apprentice license.
Yeah.
So if you've never hunted before, you can get this one time. It's a cheap license and you're guaranteed to get it. And you get that and you can go out with someone who has experience. So it's kind of a mentorship kind of deal, what it's aimed at. And for example, one of my staff members, Derek, he has taken, I think he's up to 17 right now, individual people out and taught them how to hunt. So first they met at a gun range and, they went over the guns and safety and shooting, and, everybody's scared of the report
That's
of
amazing, because that's that's very comprehensive.
It is.
Beginning to end, getting them from point A to point Z and everything in between.
Everything in between, and it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they meet another day after the people are comfortable with the guns and, the safety, and they know the regulations. They meet, and we have some landowners who have said, please come. They love to help new people learn how to hunt.
Yeah.
And so they go down there and they shoot a doe, and Derek teaches them how to clean it, and they'll either bring them back for processing or they'll process it themselves.
Wow, that's That is really cool. I did not know the program was like that exhaustive. It's just...
It hasn't been in the past.
Okay.
This is kind of a new thing that we're doing. We're heading toward, and many other states right now are doing the same thing, and they're headed toward adult programming or family programming.
Sure.
So the adult goes along. And that's mainly because we might have missed some people. You know, we're missing millennials. And if you look at the list of people who hunt and fish in the nation, you can see a dramatic drop when you hit the millennials. And so we're trying to hit them now. And we're trying different ways, you know. Millennials, a lot of times, are locavores. Have you ever talked to locavores before? Yeah. So they want to know where their food comes from, and, you know, they want to go out in the field, and they want to have the experience of hunting, and they want to shoot it and know where that food came from. Know that it wasn't from a farm, or it wasn't from a grocery store where people think food come from.
Yes.
And so then they clean it, and they know where the meat's been. They haul it back to their house, and they cook it. So you go field to plate.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that's some of the, you know, like that. A lot of that sounds like it's like off-site or whatever. What kind of do you do specific things? And I haven't been to the outdoor campus yet. I need to get out there.
Oh my gosh, you got to come out. Yeah.
What's some of the like on-site things that you have going on?
Well, of course, we have classes year-round. So we have classes for starting at age 3, and just fun things for preschoolers. Then we go ages 5 to 7, and then 8 to 12-year-olds, and then families. So you can do classes like coming up October 20th. We have our Halloween hike. It's an annual hike that we have. People come in costume, and they'd go to various stations around our trail system. It's a non-candy hike. People are always like, where's the candy? We don't do candy. We just do fun. But they come in and do different activities and learn about animals and wildlife. And this year's theme is selfies and groupies. And I know that sounds weird for a Halloween hike, but what do you call a group of toads is called a knot of toads. So people are going to learn those kind of things, and our staff is all dressed up as a parliament of owls.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're wearing judges' wigs and owl masks and like judge robes.
That's awesome.
I know. So selfies and groupies will be a really fun one. So we have a lot of special events during the year too, and plus we have amazing walking trails, and that's what I want you to come out and see. That's really the coolest part of the outdoor campus. We sit in 100 acres. We have 2 miles of walking trails, and they're all short. So, you know, you can walk all 2 miles by walking all 3 trails, or you can take a short walk and just go see some wildlife in the pond.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I saw on the website something about, did you have a duck webcam or something like that?
Yeah. We have had a trail cam for quite a few years, and the trail cam, it is so popular. We try to put it up on Tuesdays every week, and so we call it Trail Cam Tuesday. And we have seen so many animals on there over the years. We've been doing it for years now. You know, there's always ducks and geese, but there's deer, there's fox, we saw river otters in the last 2 years, which is super cool. There's mink, there's possums, there's skunks, there's a gazillion raccoons. Please take them away. There's just so many of them. But we kind of have bad luck with our trail cams. And so over the years, I bet we're up to like number 10 by now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they get stolen or, or this time we had that flood in the park, and the trail cam got flooded. And so, I just happened to put on, because everybody's like, it's Tuesday, there's no pictures. And they just call me, they text me, they're like, where are the pictures? And so I had to say, I'm really sorry the ducks had fun during the flood, but our trail cam got flooded. And that day, a lady walked in with a new trail cam and donated it to us. She went to Shields and bought us one.
Nice.
I know, we have great people.
That is really awesome.
Yeah, we're
It's
so
awesome
lucky.
that it's got such a following that people are just like, the trail cam, where's the trail cam?
Trail Cam Tuesday. Yeah, if I get them up late, people are mad at me. We've got some weird stuff on there too. You know, people walking through, a guy with a machete, that was fun. I got one of a guy, just like half of a guy's face looking into the cam, you know. It was super creepy. I've had people walking their dogs. I had a policeman on a motorcycle one time, and you could see that, I don't know what the policeman was doing. He was probably looking for something, but just all kinds of bizarre things.
That's
Weird
really
things
cool.
happen in parks.
Oh yes. Let's see. So you got the fishing, you've got the hunting. You guys are you're dabbling a little bit in podcasting recently.
We are, thanks to you. We have a new Game Fish and Parks podcast, and for a while, I think we're up to episode 4 now.
Yep,
We don't
we're
have a
on
whole bunch.
episode 4.
Yep. It didn't have a name, and now Chris, I saw him this week. Chris Hall from
Yep.
our peer office. He is the guy that really is in charge of it for Game Fish and Parks. And he told me it has a name, and he told me, and I cannot remember.
Oh.
It's something like Game Fish and Parks podcasts and fun or something ridiculous. But if you just search South Dakota Game Fish and Parks, you'll be able to find it on all of the usual channels for
Yep.
podcasting.
That's cool. It finally has a name, but the name is basically the name we've
I know.
quasi-given it of Game Fish and Parks
Podcast.
Yeah.
And fun.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a truth in advertising. I mean, that's what it is. So
Yeah, I'll see if we can come up with a better name. Chris is better than that. He's a really creative guy, and some of the things that he's done on the podcast have been really interesting.
I've loved the interview. Like,
Yeah.
speaking as the guy that edits them,
Yeah.
I've absolutely loved listening to these interviews. I've especially been blown away by first the one with the women who were
conservation officers. Yeah.
and that do the personal security training and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That was a really cool interview.
It was. These
Very
women,
unexpected that they're like instructors.
totally
just, like,
unexpected. Yeah, these women are kicking butt. They are.
they
They're
really are.
taking out
It's
the
like-
big guys.
It's like you don't want to mess with them because it's just like, oh, a tiny lady that, oh crap. It's like,
Yeah. She
you're a
just
martial
threw
arts
me on the
master.
ground.
Crap.
Exactly.
And then I really enjoyed and I bet Natasha would enjoy this one, the talk with the guy from the Buffalo Roundup.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda. Natasha was just at the Buffalo Roundup.
You
had
were?
a booth and everything this year.
Yeah, I
Oh
just
my
brought
gosh.
my massage chair and some of my husband's art, and we just kind of hung out there. And I mean, we were in the way back. Well, the second row from the way back, far away from the thing. And I mean, I have all this other stuff that I want to bring, but of course, it's just a bunch of like not finished projects. So we're like, well, let's bring this stuff and see what
Yeah.
happens. And like, 2 things happened. But it was still good because then it's like, well, now at least my name is somewhat recognizable when I want to try to go next year with
For
maybe
sure.
one done project.
There you go. Oh my gosh.
So you're like, oh, I remember her. She was that weirdo who was like, please get a massage in the snow, please.
In the snow.
In the snow.
It did snow.
It did. But it was still fun.
I love the Buffalo Roundup. I've worked it a few times when I was younger. I've been working for Game Fish and Parks for 24-ish years, 25 maybe. And when I was younger, I sound like I'm an old lady, and I guess I am, but gray. I've been talking about gray hair. But anyway, when I was younger, they'd have us go out and work the roundup, and so we'd help park cars, at 2 a.m. when the roundup happened. But the coolest part was we got to help down in the chutes, and when those buffalo come through, there is no feeling like that left that's that authentic. You just can't imagine anything more real that, you know, we always say there's no place left to explore. There's no place, you know, you don't discover new things anymore. There's no Christopher Columbus's or you know, any of the explorers left. There's no reason to do that anymore. But if you want something authentic, to feel a giant herd of buffalo thunder by you is the most real thing.
The footage is always amazing that they'll put up of it after the fact. I had no idea that it was such a big event that was so like well attended, that has like an art fair kind of like thing, like until you said you had a booth there or whatever, Natasha. I had no idea that they did that there. I just figured it was like you know, like a few people in line watching it or something like that, and then between the interview and then to Natasha's stories, I was like, wow, this is like a bucket list item for me now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, I can't remember how long I've gone, but, just last year I actually got to watch the roundup. My husband and I went out there, and then this year we had a booth, but my dad is in the 7th Cavalry Drum and Bugle Corps.
Cool.
Yeah, so for, I don't remember how many years, so one year I went out and watched that, you know, with my mom, and that was fun, but my cousin does like that chainsaw art stuff. He's got that woodworking stuff out there, and he's had a booth out there for a long time too. So it's like,
has he ever come to Sioux Falls? I've been looking for a chainsaw artist for one of our events.
I don't think no, but maybe I could grab some of his stuff and bring it out here as an excuse to go back home.
You're from the hills?
Yeah, from
cool. Oh, awesome. Well, the Buffalo Roundup was on my bucket list, and it is one of the most fulfilling ones ever. It is so amazing to feel the ground shake underneath your feet, and wow, yeah. That's the kind of thing we want people to do at the outdoor campus. You want to you know, just try kayaking for the first time and realize the buoyancy of the water and the view, how it changes. You're used to looking at the lake from the shore, and you get out on the lake and you look back at the shore. It's a whole new experience.
You realize how dynamic of an environment it is.
It is. It's really dynamic. It's beautiful. You feel connected to the earth. You feel connected to people who lived here before you. You feel connected to your ancestors. At least that's how I feel. Maybe I'm a little mushy-gushy about it, but I love those kind of experiences that you just go, wow, there's still something left like this.
Absolutely.
It's pretty neat.
That's really cool. Let's see. Trying to think of, I know we've got, just on the Game Fish and Parks front, we've got pheasant season coming up here.
We do. Opener for pheasant season is October 20th, and the weekend before that is resident opener.
So this weekend is...
I've been at a conference all week. I can't remember what the date is.
Yeah, this is the resident opener.
Resident opener. Aren't I a great GFP employee?
Actually, this episode will come out on the right around the actual like full opening.
Okay.
I know when the full. It's like I know there's the resident weekend, and then the weekend after that's like the main opener is the big event, because that's when the little town of Wessington just gets just absolutely crazy with events and all sorts of. All of a sudden, there's like people there and out-of-state license plates. This is like, what's with all the outsiders in our little village? And it's just like pheasant season.
Pheasant season. Yeah. Have you ever been out to the airport during pheasant season?
I've seen it. Like I picked someone up at the airport during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
On the couple days before the season, the Convention Visitors Bureau, Sioux Falls Convention Visitors Bureau, goes out there and greets people, and now they have other businesses that have booths as well. And the people come down off the airplanes, and if they've been coming back year after year, they're like, "We're so glad to see you!" And we give them mugs every year. And they just love those. So there's some guys that have huge collections of our pheasant mugs. And, you know, all these businesses have booths, and you can buy your license right there. You can, you know, book a hotel room right there. If If you don't have one, we don't recommend that. Get one ahead of time.
Yeah, planning.
Right. You can buy things for your dogs. People have some pheasant art. There's flower shops, things like that set up that say, here, send your wife a bouquet while you're away hunting. Smart people, I know. Yeah. But it's really cool because there's so many dogs barking and dogs coming in crates. And there's so many guns. It's so weird to see that many guns in an airport. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite an experience.
Yeah, the opener is always nuts. And then Wessington does pheasant races every year where they've got the not barbed wire, kind of like a chicken wire, like these two chutes on a semi-trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
And it'll be like kids that have raised pheasants, because a lot of us in that area, like I have lots of childhood memories of raising pheasants and then releasing them during the time of the year and stuff like that. And it's fun to watch these. Usually they're like teens or like pre-teens, about the age, just
competing.
Trying to get their pheasant to go through the chute. It's like, go little guy, go. And then every once in a while, one of them hits the end of the cage, and someone doesn't close it right. Whoop! There goes our winner flying away off into the distance.
He won't be wearing the Medal of Honor today, but
No.
his kid gets the honor. Yeah, we used to do something like that with turkeys in Fort Pierre when I was growing up. Turkey races. It always meant turkey races like you described on the semi and a street dance, which was always fun. Those were the days.
Yeah, Wessington does a big, the CIA is the Citizen in Action, but they loved the acronym because they all their hats and shirts and everything say CIA on them. They do a fundraiser for pheasants for Wessington, which is how they help subsidize and raise pheasants in the community. I'm talking about. And their pheasant banquet takes place in the gym, and they'll do a big silent auction and a big roast dinner and stuff like that. And they'll get it's like the town is only 200 people, and they'll get 500 people in the gym for that event.
And they bet they raise a lot of money too.
They do, and they get some really, really amazing silent auction prizes too, because they've got the money from last year to invest back into it. So some years the prizes get pretty crazy, like an ATV or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. And
in a banquet of only 500 people, you'd have a pretty good shot at that.
Indeed.
Might have to go over there.
Yeah, I know. It's always it's that Friday night before the opener, and it's just kind of if I didn't work right up until 5, because then it starts at 6, so it's just I have no way of making it there in time, and it's But it is a super fun event, so that's just something Game Fish and Park see that I remember growing up with and stuff like that. I remember doing my first my youth license tag when I was younger, and that's when I fell in love with the lever action 30-30 like Henry or mine. The first one I was with was a Winchester, and it's
cool.
I fell in love with that gun, and now that gun is on my bucket list that I have to own one of those at some point.
Wow.
Because they're a good little rifle.
They are. Yeah. Everybody kind of has their gun that they grew up with, or that was their grandpa's or something like that. And then you buy a new one just to say, this is my gun and the one that we're going to hand down now. But I still have my grandpa's 20 gauge shotgun. Yeah. Yeah, I've got my grandpa's 22. Oh, cool.
That was cool to get that.
Cool.
It's good, because the one I was using before was a little cheap Italian one that just always chewed up the bullets. So it was the leads of them. So it was oh, okay. And then jam.
Oh, that's not good.
Which, not fun when you're trying to squirrel hunt or anything like that.
No. No. That's the best part of pheasant season, don't you think, is the memories, thinking about all the times my mom would cook, and the hunters would come back in and they'd be hungry and, drink beer and talk about their day, and it was an amazing time.
You get a lot of out-of-state extended family visits and stuff like that, which are always fun, and these people you never get to see otherwise, that they come back for pheasant season. And,
it's a tradition.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we have a hashtag in Game Fish and Parks that we always ask people to use, hashtag MySD Tradition. And, if you have some photos from previous hunts or this year's hunt, we would love it if people would put them up and just use that hashtag on any of the social medias. We watch for those and we'll post them on our site, or if we really like them, we'll call you up and see if we can use them in a post that we do or something like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it
So-
is all about tradition.
So you're involved in the podcast in that you do an interview usually at the end, because your associate out in Pierre does usually does like a big interview, and then you'll do a shorter one that's kind of an update about what's going on at the outdoor campus. What inspired you guys to get involved with a medium like podcasting?
Oh, probably people like you. Seriously. Chris Hall and Pierre, he is really into all kinds of media and he worked for tourism in the past, and he's always kept Game Fish and Parks updated on every kind of media and social media, that kind of thing. He's also done some radio, and so it falls right into his wheelhouse. And I don't know, maybe I just like to hear myself talk. I'm not sure. But I like to do that kind of stuff too.
I wouldn't tease you about that, except that I was just catching up on my episodes of Patrick Lally, and you were on there, so I was like, it's like, you're no stranger to this, or talking to a microphone anyway.
Yeah, no, we do the Patrick Lally show. I do it once a week. And usually I bring a guest, so I don't get to do much talking. Just depends on who the guest is, but... yeah, I love it. And so, we listen to shows like yours and lots of other ones. I have lots of favorite podcasts I'm always listening to. But we had people request it too. They want to know what's happening. And they, like right at the end of our podcast, we do, don't forget, deer season starts here. Or don't forget to apply for spring turkey or whatever. We talk to you about the latest things that are happening in Game Fish and Parks. So it's a good tool for us to use that way too. We love having people tell us stories. That's what I try to do with my little 5 or 6 minute at the end. I try to bring in somebody to tell me a story. I had a guy who was a Boy Scout leader, and his kids got lost, and they ended up spending the night outside, but he knew they'd be okay because he trained them well, and it was just a fun story. It was a good way to talk about, things can happen when you're out in the field. And this week I'm going to be interviewing a lady who's been hunting her whole life. She does big game hunting and fishes up in Canada, and there's not always a ton of women who can claim that amount of hunting and fishing. So I'm excited to talk to her. We just try to hit on the kind of people that everybody enjoys and like hearing their stories. And I want the real story. I want people to be able to hear the background and the memories and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. And there's some great stories to tell. Like I said, I really liked that first interview with the ladies that were the conservation officers. But I really liked the guy that does the buffalo roundup, or is like one of the heads of it, because it was a lot of it reminded me a lot of the stories from when I was a kid, or just memories from when I was a kid of when we'd be rounding up cattle and stuff like that. How good they could be at hiding and getting around them and all that stuff. And I just found that a lot about that interview really fascinating. I ended up, it's one where I edited it, and I had to go back and just listen to it to enjoy the interview and pick up on the stories and stuff. I really liked that one. It's what I'm saying, going on about. But, I like that, too. That's really fun. I love the one about the artists. Oh, yeah.
The outdoor artists, because I collect art. I just love art. And those two guys, Josh Spies and Adam Oswald, they're really known in the national art world for their wildlife paintings, and Adam, too, for his golf course paintings. And it's just fun to hear their processes and their thoughts and how they work together. And
very cool. Anything else you want to say about the outdoor campus or the podcast?
Well, listen to our podcast. I could say that.
We'll get into shameless plugs where we'll drop all the information. I was just, if you have any more stories or anything like that you wanted to into.
Let's see. Well, outdoor campus wise, I just hope that people will come out and visit us. If you haven't been there, we've been there for 22 years. So it's time. It's time to come out. Yeah. And see us and take a walk on our trail and just have some fun. It's really a beautiful place, and it's right in the middle of Sioux Falls. You can't go wrong. Even if you're like, I don't care about birds, you might come out there and see a great blue heron that reminds you of a dinosaur. They're so prehistoric looking. And so if you like dinosaurs, maybe you'll like great blue herons.
Very cool. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Sioux Empire Podcast. This is Robert Mehling, and I am doing an interview here with Thor Bardon, who is here to tell us all about a presentation you're involved in called Their Only Hope Foster Care Informational. That's coming up on October 20th. Thor, tell us a little bit about that.
As you said, October 20th, between 1 and 4 p.m., I'm doing a free informational event. As said, called Thor. Sorry, it's not called me. It's called Their Only Hope. Yeah, THs were in the beginning there. Thor. Yeah, Thor's Only Hope. Sure, we'll go with that. But no, it's Their Only Hope Foster Care Informational. And what this event is a chance for the public to come in a format where they're not going to be hit up for money. They're not going to be hit up for favors or pressured to volunteer or become foster care parents, just to come in and learn more about the foster care system and what local area nonprofits are doing to help the system at the moment as well. In this, everybody will have some free giveaways that we have when they come in. It'll be important to the presentation. And we'll learn, directly from these nonprofits, what they do, how they operate, where they feel their piece of the puzzle is to help children who come from less fortunate circumstances. We also have a nonprofit talking about how they help families stay out of the foster care system as well, which is certainly an important piece. Yeah. And then after the nonprofits present, I'm doing a case study. And this case study is a child's life from birth to where they are now. And it covers, before, during, and after their entrance in the South Dakota's foster care system. Interesting.
So, some people may be familiar with your background, some might not be. What's particular interested you in this and getting involved in this activity?
Well, when I was younger, I lived with my mom and dad. Stepdad came into the picture after mom and dad didn't work out, and eventually, there was a lot of things going on, and so my family reached a point to where they weren't able to take care of me anymore. And as unfortunate as that was, in my teens, I actually lived in South Dakota's foster care system. And it was really an interesting experience, and I learned a lot. But there's a lot of things that people don't know, those being that when those kids are moving from place to place, they don't really have luggage bags or boxes or anything like that, and it's very quick. And so most of the time, if you've got a hefty garbage bag, then there you go. You're moving in a garbage bag. And just imagine, all your clothes, all of your photo albums, maybe you have something special, with you, like a stuffed animal that you have from your original house or something like that. But everything that you own is in a garbage bag, and you're moving from place to place with strangers that you don't really know. And, there's a lot of emotions that go with it, like, how come my family wasn't able to take care of me, and how come, I'm not wanted like these other kids that I went to school with, and, what makes me so special that I don't get this wonderful life, that you see on television and stuff like that. So,
yeah, so a very, very personal, close to home experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the luggage thing is not something that would have ever crossed my mind, but it's like, oh, that's totally would be a practical thing to have.
Yeah, and and if you think about that, and I'm not trying to pull heartstrings here or anything, it's just it's a matter of fact situation. Sure. But imagine being that kid. You're even 11, 12 years old, okay, and you're handed a couple garbage bags, say, here, put your stuff in it. And you think, well, what do you normally use garbage bags for? Like, what do you use garbage bags for?
Garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Okay. So now all of your stuff is in a garbage bag. Now let's combine that with your family couldn't take care of you, and combine it with, that you see people who move their stuff around in garbage bags. It's usually homeless population or, stuff like that, right? And so now you have this feeling that, well, if my stuff is garbage, maybe I'm garbage as well. And, I can tell you that most foster care kids who've ever moved their stuff have this feeling at some point. I went through it for sure. And that's just one aspect of it. There's a lot of great things that come out of the foster care system. How to live on your own because, what does it look like when the government raises a child? They have to learn, how to cook for themselves. They have to learn what paying rent is. They have to learn how to apply for welfare if they need it. They, a lot of different things that, mom and dad aren't necessarily around to do that.
Yeah.
So it's an important system.
Absolutely. What was the catalyst for this event? I hadn't heard of something quite like this, bringing together all these different nonprofits and organizations and stuff like that. What was there a catalyst for it or a triggering event?
Not really. It's something that I've always kind of wanted to do.
Okay.
I recently ran for office, which is quite an accomplishment for myself. Didn't do too well, but that's not a thing. You got to start somewhere.
You did all right. You did better than when I ran in Minnesota.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea that you ran. But what I had actually done is I said, well, I've been wanting to do something to help benefit the foster care system. Help kids who are currently in situations. This isn't a thing of the past. Like, there just last year or the year before, over 687,000 children. Okay, so under the age of 18. Were served by the foster care system nationwide. Okay, and this usually means, crisis care intervention, mom and dad are picked up for your DUIs, or, there's domestic abuse, or there's a, opioid addiction, which is a huge driver right now. It's something that I wanted to give back into and hopefully help those kids that are in now, because the foster care system that I went through, even though it was just 12 years ago for me that I aged out of the system, it's still active, it's still relevant, and it's a little bit different now too. And so I want these kids to have other people understand that it's not like what we see in the movies. This is an actual life that people are living at the moment.
Very good. What do you think are some of the misconceptions that someone who's never been involved in the foster care system they might encounter or be surprised by?
South Dakota's foster care system isn't what you see on television. It's not a whole bunch of miscreant children that decided to run away from home one too many times. It's not always a case where the kids are orphans. It's not always the case where the parents were severely abusing them. Now those cases do happen still, but
sure.
A lot of times especially in South Dakota, there's a very large Native American population that's in the system for children. Different things go into that. There's, I guess, for misconceptions, there's a lot of psychology things that go into it for the children as well. It's not just moving from foster care home to foster care home. There's also government paid psychologists that help these children process their emotions and what they go through. There's nonprofits out there providing small things, like here's, an introduction to a religion that you show interest into. Here's where you can go. Here's a food box. This week we noticed, a family needed this help in order to keep their children out of the system. Nonprofits a lot of times can do the rehab counseling and, to help keep these families out of the system as well. And I guess we kind of delineate a little bit from it, but it's all very related in that if things go really bad, the foster care system's needed. And it's not always just these delinquent children that we see on TV.
What can people expect if they go to the event, as far as do you know how long it's going to be? Do you know? Give us an idea, a rundown of who's going to be there.
Absolutely. So coming to this event, on Saturday is going to be, for nonprofits presenting, we have CASA, which is the Children's Advocate group. They basically represent children in the court system so that way the children don't have to face their abusers and be put up on stands and, go through that trauma, that they would have before. We have Lutheran Social Services and Volunteers of America. Lutheran Social Services has a very heavy focus right now on benefiting the foster care system. Volunteers of America does a lot of assistance with those with special needs, and they also have a independent living transition type program where as you're aging out, you need to learn this is what it means to live in an apartment, this is what it means to pay bills. We also have coming Children's Inn or Children's Home Society. I don't remember which facet that is, but I do know that they are going to be providing a presentation of how they help and as far as crisis care situations, domestic abuse, they have a really strong program with that.
Sure.
And then we also have Safe Families, which is a program of Bethany Christian Services, and they're going to be presenting how they help families stay out of the system. What kind of, things can they introduce into the family to help them become healthy, thriving units.
Sure.
The whole event is I'm very happy to say, sponsored by the Ransom Church. With that being said, you hear Bethany Christian Services, Ransom Church, Lutheran Social Services. This is not a religious event. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter which walk of life you come from, who you believe in, who you don't. This is solely about the foster care system. It just so happens that a lot of ministries actually give into it, and so that's why we hear those names.
It's who shows up.
Exactly. It's in the end, it's who's there, and I really. As far as expectations for timelines, it's from 1 to 4 p.m. We're talking 3 hours. This is after lunch, before dinner. It's an afternoon activity. And then my case study, I'll be presenting, fair warning to those, it is going to be emotional. My goal in writing the case study is to have people feel, that sadness, that sense of hopelessness, but also feel the joy and the happiness that comes from being a successful person after going through the experiences that they did. And, like I said, I have a few things that are given out, as hard goods that people will be able to take with them, just that way they can remember their experience and, having done that in a safe environment. As far as topics that we cover, we talk about the abuse and neglect that the case study went through. There was a point where the case study was suicidal at one point, and we talk about the emotions that were going through there. We talk about their first kiss, which is really exciting. I mean, who doesn't remember their first kiss? Yeah. Give everybody a chance to go, aww. And, really hit those hard topics without, having to react to it, do it in a safe environment.
Very cool. Once again, you said it's at 1 p.m. on Saturday, October 20th. Mm-hmm. Goes till 4 p.m.?
Yes, it'll go to 4 p.m. at the latest.
Okay. I believe it's free.
Yes.
They do ask that you RSVP or register via Eventbrite or Eventbrite. A link will be included in the show notes for that. Anything else you want to tell the listeners?
No. There will also be refreshments afterwards. So, water, iced tea, and there's about an hour to where you'll get to talk to nonprofits as well. And if there's anything that you wanted to talk to me about after the event, you're certainly able to. I want everybody to, have a chance to come learn. That's it. No solicitations, no ask. Just show up as you are. There's no, attire preference or anything like that. And the seats are pretty comfortable too. So if anything, if you're looking for a relaxing place to go, it's the Belbus Theater if you've ever been in it, and it's going to be a good time, I think.
Very good. Thank you for coming, Thor, and thank you for what you're doing. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The Sioux Empire Podcast proudly presents this week's Shameless Plugs.
This is the Shameless Plugs portion of the show, where you can get on your soapbox and you can promote your podcast, the Outdoor Campus, a garage, anything you want to promote. This is the point in the show where you can name drop and do all that stuff.
Wow,
So-
cool. This is
so
fun.
Go for it.
Okay.
I mean, half the time people do like a new show on Netflix they really like.
Oh.
So, whatever you want to plug, go ahead and do that now.
Cool. Well, I'm going to need your help with plugging the podcast because I can't remember all the locations that people can find it. I know we're on iTunes, SoundCloud. Tell me the other
SoundCloud,
ones.
Stitcher, anymore because there's so many of them. A lot of the shows they just say, or wherever you listen to podcasts or your favorite podcatcher app. Because if they've got your RSS feed, then they can technically listen to you on anything and even add. There are apps where they could just add you by having that address. So.
Cool. Well, come and listen to us because we have lots of really fun stuff coming up. If you're an outdoors person or even if you only halfway like the outdoors, our podcast is pretty fun to listen to because we have such a wide variety of things that we have on there. I'm going to have a bat person coming up too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll talk about bats, and bats are good. Bats eat bugs. They don't eat people. I'm a big bat fan and Batman fan, by the way. Little plug for Batman. The Outdoor Campus, we are open until November 1st. We're open 7 days a week. After that, we're open 6 days a week, so we're closed on Sundays. After November 1st, the building is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, and Sunday, 1 to 4. But our park and our trails are open 7 days a week, all year round. If we have snow, the city comes in, and the city of Sioux Falls, another plug for them, they're great partners with us. They come in and they groom the trails, so you can go cross-country skiing out there. There's no cost for that. Fun times. Cross-country skiing is great, especially out there. So pretty. You can see a lot of deer and fox and all kinds of critters.
Oh, you get foxes out there, huh?
Yeah, red-tailed fox.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised because, like I said, it's like in the heart of Sioux Falls. I'm surprised those things can be so elusive.
You'd be shocked how many different animals we see out there.
That's really cool.
And people have no idea what's all in town. There are possums and raccoons and everything all over living. They'll go down in your storm sewer drainage and move around and come out at night and wreak havoc. We love that.
Little garbage pandas.
Yeah, exactly. Trash pandas. Yeah, that's what one of our staff calls them. We've got, Hunting with Derek is one of our programs, and that's such an original name, and we tease him to death about it, but that's the guy that's taking people out one-on-one.
That's another truth in advertising. It's like you're getting exactly what we're saying.
Exactly. His name is Derek, and you're hunting with Derek. So we've got that program. We've got tons of programs coming up for winter. We'll be doing ice fishing, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, and some indoor programs too.
Cool.
Game Fish and Parks, we've got, of course, every season in the world is coming up right now. We encourage everybody to wear hunter orange.
Yes.
Please. Yes. Want to prevent those accidents that happen out in the field. Remember where the end of your gun is pointing and look beyond your target. Make sure that there's nothing on the other side of your target that you could be shooting toward. Don't shoot near houses and livestock, and just be nice. That's the best thing. Just be nice. Why can't everybody be nice?
Be cool. Everybody's out here having fun. Just be cool.
That's right. That's right. And, be ready to welcome all of the out-of-state hunters. They do so much for our economy, not just in the state, in Sioux Falls in particular. They bring in so much money. In tax dollars, in revenue from hotels, in restaurants and gas stations and, sporting goods stores. They are a great source of tax income for us. So be kind to them so they'll come back.
Excellent.
Yeah. Does that kind of cover it? What did I forget?
I think you got everything. Natasha, do you have any shameless plugs this week?
I'll just say being outside. We'll do that.
Yeah, this
There we go.
episode made me like, after I get done editing this afternoon, I'm going to throw on a sweater and I'm going to go outside. It's just like
Good,
in my
see?
head now.
It's a gateway drug, too.
Well, especially
Getting
fall,
you outdoors.
Fall is my season where it's
Yeah.
like I actually like being outside, so it's like because I'm allergic to mosquitoes, and all the mosquitoes are dead.
Oh, I
which
know.
is glorious.
Don't you live for that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then it's cold and it's like football weather, and yeah, this is my time of year, definitely.
Cool.
Let's see. So Natasha's is being outside. I'm gonna do my shameless plug is gonna be fall and fall weather, because fall rocks. Let's see, and my birthday's coming up, so there's that too.
Yes.
Hint, hint, Natasha. Hint. No, I'm just giving you crap. Let's see. And as always, here are our mainstay shameless plugs. Please help support the Sioux Empire Podcast Network and all we do to bring you local content. You could do that at patreon.com/Sioux Falls. And then a huge thank you to Patreon supporter Matthew Paulson. You can get your name dropped here by giving on Patreon as well. As always, we plug SuperCon, our big event and sponsor and co-sponsor. And then, as always, you can listen to our podcast and all of the podcasts in our podcast network at live605.com. Check that service out. They do a weekly, they call it the Live 605 Music Countdown, where they actually do a top countdown, but it's of local artists and local music exclusively. So it's really cool to hear bands and acts and rappers that you know from this area, or people that are on this podcast or the other podcasts who are performing, and they sound amazing. It's just like, if you didn't know it that was like local, you'd just think you'd turn on a radio, because it's just, the quality is just excellent. And Thea, thank you very much for coming today.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, and thanks to Tasha for joining us once again. And thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you all next week.